Welcome to the Hardcore MBA podcast with your host, Erlend, Bakke.
Hello and welcome to Hardcore MBA. Today we have my co-author of the book, Outsourcing Mastery, on the call, Regina. She's also the founder of Mr Outsource.com. Mr Outsource.com helps entrepreneurs outsource to the Philippines. And we've been helping hundreds of entrepreneurs liberate their time and get more things done. And she's also the founder of Dreamwork, which is a co-working space in Davao City in the Philippines. It is the #1 co-working space in Mindanao. And we were also first to sort of launch that kind of concept. And since then, a lot of people have modeled us, they've copied our idea, but we're still the place where people come to really engage and make things happen. So Regina, can you tell us a little bit about your story into being an entrepreneur, where you started out?
Yes, sure. So I started as, like any here in the Philippines, I started as an employee. I applied as a call center agent because that's the thing back then. So all of us are trying to get a job in call centers, and we were working. And then it hit me like this isn't something that I want to do. So I tried to get more, and then I tried freelancing. And then freelancing is more of I have extra time in my hands, so I then applied for a freelance writer. And then since then, I still have that employee mindset and delivering what the clients have asked me to, until I met you. And then you actually brought the entrepreneur out in me. I didn't know that I have it. I didn't know that I'm good at it even, So working with different clients, working with entrepreneurs has actually influenced most of them has really played that part in my entrepreneurial life, because I'd never really know that I have that until I met them, until I've seen how they succeed, until I've seen the gratification or that gratifying feeling of running a business. So, and then you've helped me run the business, Mr. Outsource, and seeing happy entrepreneurs that we've served well. So that actually that's actually the start of the entrepreneurial career that I have.
So what kind of trick? I mean, I remember when you were in Manila, when you were my virtual assistant, you were always talking about, ideas, and you guys were you were serving food. You had this food idea, and you were serving lots and lots of people in the local area, and you were sort of looking to expand that. And so I guess those are the things that I was listening to in you when we started working out, was that like you wanted to do more things, like you had a desire to sort of take action and manifest things and move things forward. And that's kind of what I picked up on. And then I realized, oh, okay, so you want to do more in life. So, and not everybody does want to do more than just, do a simple job. So that's when I kind of said, oh, how about we, do Mr. Outsource, and how about we, because, outsourcing worked so well for me. I said, oh, how about we help other people outsource, and we'll make money at the same time. So what happened at some point, I think I asked you to move to another place. And what do you think needs to happen? So what happened internally for you when you sort of pushed the button and said, let's do this?
Yeah, when I finally decided to go and just, this is it, that there's no going back. That's where I'm like doing anything. I'll learn anything. I'll do anything. I'll listen to anyone. I'll experiment on things. I'll take risks, whatever. Because I'm really new to the entrepreneurial. I'm so used to people ask me, tell me what to do. So with the entrepreneurial, you have to really drive the boat, per se. So you need to drive the car, and just like you have to be the captain. And having been influenced by you guys, I kind of have like the idea of what to do, and knowing that, it's like always asking, I ask for advice, listening to other people run their business and everything. So it's actually triggered that I had to do everything, that I had to do this or else nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, so you kind of you burnt the boats and you went all in, and you just decided that you would do anything that in your power to make things happen.
Yes, yes. I've listened to mentors. I've listened to you, and you said that the best way really is in Davao. And there was really no hesitations after I've really decided 100% that that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, and everything's been great
So do
since
you?
then.
So where do you listen to podcasts? Do you read things online, or do you go to local talks? Where do you?
Yes, absolutely. I think with Mr. Outsource, the best thing about that is we are exposed to different entrepreneurs.
Okay, so you were saying that because of the business itself, you were meeting lots of entrepreneurs and you were listening to what their problems were, and you were also exposed to, of course, our podcast as well. This
Yes,
podcast,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, having to listen to every episode and having to get, because we're also doing notes on every episode, so getting the maximum or getting the most out of an episode is really helping me run the business as well, and having to serve clients from startups to entrepreneurs to companies that are already successful. I've been very exposed, and we talk to them most of the time. So that's a great influence on my end.
So, what are some of the what have you? So, how long have you been? How old is Mr. Outsource now?
3 years.
Right. So 2013. So, how do you see that outsourcing has evolved over the last 3 years in the
Uh,
Philippines?
yeah, it has drastically changed everything. So from our side, from the Filipino side, as most of our employees, it has changed the way we work. All of us are trying to get on or learn courses that are more inclined with the internet. So anything online related, that's something that's really, really in demand right now in the country. So schools and universities are offering online courses, internet marketing courses for people who like to learn how to run a business or help people run a business in the country. We've also jumped on board and created Mr. Outsource University for people who wanted to learn internet skills. So with outsourcing, more and more Filipinos wanting to work from home, wanting to serve Western clients. So a lot of people or a lot of Filipinos have actually been very interested in becoming a virtual assistant. What we do, how much is the pay, the legal stuff side of it, the taxes and everything. So there's really the increase number of inquiries, increased number of participation from the community.
So, you're saying not only the stuff that we're doing, but like government and schools, they've all
Yeah,
changed
jumping
their
in.
curriculum to be more computer based, more focused on what does the world want, and people are studying to become good at serving Western clients. Is that a general trend in the Philippines right now?
Yes, absolutely. We have, especially with Westerners coming here, or especially when the government or the Filipinos have learned that we don't we don't necessarily have to go abroad or go outside of the country to work, but we can earn that same amount of money and get even more skills out of it by just staying here in the country. So that has been a good news for all of us here.
Because I think like in the world, like there's maybe 12 or 20 million Filipinos sort of working in other places, right? I mean, there's a lot of Filipinos in China and Hong Kong and Dubai, US, of course. And what you're saying now is that a lot of people they say, oh, I don't have to actually leave my family. I can actually make good money. Just so, what is one of the biggest success stories that you know about in terms of sort of making money, like entrepreneur stories do you have?
Yes, yeah. So most of our same as ours. We have a client. We have a virtual assistant who's worked with. We paired and matched them with a client, and she has plans in going abroad and becoming a nurse out there. But now that she is working with this client, who is actually medically inclined as well, she actually still can focus or can practice medicine, study medicine, even without having to go abroad. So with that, and then she has to stay with the family, with her growing family, with her kids, become a mother at the same time, stay here. So with that, a lot of people, and then she's invited her friends, her nurses friends who are going abroad, and they're actually very, very happy with, because they have the skill set, they have the professionalism, they have the English skills, they have the computer skills. It's just that they're not aware of the opportunity that working for Western entrepreneurs is available. So they're not aware. So what we do, Mr. Outsource, we try to expose, we try to educate, we try to encourage people on having a client, work from home or work from the country without having to go abroad. We also have, sorry.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. We also have stories that we also have Filipino virtual assistants who are in Dubai, Hong Kong, Malaysia, but are still asking for work, online work from us because the pay really isn't enough. So they've decided to just go work as a virtual assistant full time, quit their job in Dubai, elsewhere, and then come back in the Philippines and just focus on specializing a skill, mastering a skill, and then serve online clients from there.
That's interesting. That is very interesting, and of course it's great if people can stay with their families and not have to go abroad. And I think one of the things that you mentioned earlier, where before you met me, you kind of didn't know what was possible. We don't know what we don't know, which is something that I actually think about every single day. It's like I don't know what I don't know, which makes me question a lot of things. It makes me question my choices. It makes me question how I think, because there's somebody out there that knows something that I don't know. But if I knew that something, I would probably change how I do things, and then my life would be different. So it's interesting that you also saying that this is the effect that Mr. Outsource has had on the local community in Davao City, because we do these monthly or weekly boot camps or training sessions where we invite hundreds of people into our offices, and we do a talk on the possibilities of making money online, and then we offer to train them in online skills. Can you tell us a little bit more about our training and how our boot camps work?
Yeah. So we have basically the very first step is having them, inviting them to the boot camp. So the virtual assistant boot camp is basically an overview of the virtual assistant career. So if it's something that they want, if it's something that they have a skill set. So in that 1-day seminar, we were able to discuss the introduction to virtual assistants, the definition, what are the basic skills and basic tools you need to start, what's the right computer, what's the right internet speed, how to ace an interview on Skype, how to get a client, how to maintain that client, long-term relationship, how do you get paid, what are the tools that you will need to install or sign up for an account for, to share passwords to clients and things like that. So we try to expose them as much as possible to the tools that we're using to cater or to deliver quality service to our clients. And after that, if they wanted more, they have to enroll to the 10-day virtual assistant program, where it's really the boot camp happens. It's a very interactive and action-filled training. So they have to bring their laptops. We have to sign up accounts together. We have to create their resumes. We have to update. We have to teach them basic video editing skills, basic graphic design skills, basic internet skills, SEO, email management, email marketing, the basic of administrative tasks, research, data entry, list building. So it's a bit overwhelming for people.
Yeah,
'Cause
why do
it's
you teach them everything? Why do you teach them all those skills? Why not specialize
yeah.
in one?
Yeah, because this is when they after teaching 10 days, after having them having to learn the basics of each skill each day, they get to conclude what type of skill set they want to specialize. So with that 10, at least they know the basics of it. And then they tell me, okay, I want to specialize in social media marketing. I want to learn more. I want to go and proceed to the advanced social media training, because this is something they wanted to. That way, we kind of expose them to different skill set available or different services that they can offer to our clients. But I think one of the things that our students or a virtual assistant love about our training is after the training, there's still continuing coaching program. So there's a continuing mentorship program. They're added to a Facebook group where they can ask, even after the training, they can ask clients problems to us, they can consult with us. So it's a very active community, and it's very informative and valuable that they can just ask questions in there and everyone just chip in and share their experiences, and they help out.
Okay. So, what are some of the lessons that, so from speaking to hundreds of entrepreneurs about their business, what are some of the common mistakes that they make? Not Filipinos, but the actual entrepreneurs. Not a lot of people are not able to successfully delegate, to successfully free up their time. What are some of the common mistakes that you see people making?
Yeah, I think micromanaging the business, because usually they hire a virtual assistant to delegate, but then when it comes to the delegating process, they don't let go 100%. So they try to micromanage stuff, and they try to overcomplicate stuff. And then they ask me that it's not working with a virtual assistant, it's not working with them, and we try to improve their communication skills and everything. But it's just that most of them, and they admit it, that most of them, they're the bottleneck of their business because they just don't know how to delegate. I mean, they treat their business as their baby, and they say that it's just hard to give out big tasks to virtual assistant, especially for someone in the Philippines where it's far and they can't communicate properly. And then we coach them, and we tell them that let's try baby steps. Let's just try one task at a time. And I tell them that there is a teething period where all of us are going to adjust, and then they expect the teething period, and then they just go through with it, and then they just add more tasks and more tasks and more tasks. And another mistake is that most of them think that virtual assistants will make them money. So they buy all these courses, all these webinars, all these programs, and they ask the virtual assistant to log in and watch all the videos. And at the end of that session, please call me and tell me what you've learned and what are the things that we can apply to the business. And if you think that that's the way to go, then please go ahead and do that. So we have still to remind them that they are still the leaders of the business, that they are still, we still look up to them. We may have ideas here and there, but some really just wants us to run the whole thing. And so they want to monetize the blog, so they want us to do everything for them. And then at the end of the day, they just want, okay, what's going on, what's happening, and things like that.
Yes, so they're trying to, so people are trying to sort of pay somebody $5 to earn them like $5,000.
Yeah.
So basically, spend $500 a month with somebody that's going to make them $5,000. That's what people think's going to happen. So a lot of people that we work with have been sort of early stage entrepreneurs, right? So they're lacking a lot of skills. However, we've had a lot of success stories with people that have been in business for maybe 3 to 10 years, and they're much faster in making outsourcing happen, because those are the repeat customers that we serve. Every single month we have a lot of the same customers, and those are typically entrepreneurs that have been in business for a very long time. And it's interesting how, some people are able to make it work. And so what are some of the things that I do? What are some of the things that you feel like I did that other people that are failing didn't do?
Yeah, that's a that's a very good question. Most people would ask me whenever they have problems with their virtual assistants, they come back to me and ask me, Regina, what would Erlend do if he was in my position? And I think because patience, you were more patient with me more than anyone else. You were more you correct mistakes from the very beginning. And then you correct it again and you correct it again until we were able to get it. And also you giving us time to work on our thing just to get it done. You don't really care how we do it, as long as we get it done correctly. And giving us that space and that growth to just explore things and to find the easiest answer and the easiest way to do things actually helps us a lot.
Yeah, so basically I was more, I think from the very beginning, like I've always had a long-term perspective, even though I want to make money now. Like I think that's part of the sort of human instinct, is that a part of us wants stuff now, right?
Yeah.
Our sort of monkey brain is very primitive and wants things to happen right now, and we get frustrated and then we get angry, and then we take it out on somebody, and it's a very sort of negative loop. But I've always, I kind of always try to apply the golden rule, that which is like treat other people as I want to be treated. It's actually something I learned when I was 14, working in a like a convenience store just close to where I was born. Not born, but grew up. And my boss always treated everybody equal. Like he would treat me, that was just washing the floor and stacking the shelves. He treated me equal to the manager of the store, right? And I've always thought about that in business. It's like, just treat people as you want to be treated. That doesn't mean everybody will treat you the same way, but at least, when you're collaborating with people, you get the same respect as you expect. And then there's also this thing of, I kind of did the same as you, Regina, where I said, okay, I'm doing this entrepreneur thing and I'm just going to keep on moving, So I guess maybe I had a little bit of a different perspective. But I think also a lot of people on these programs, they get sold on that it's easy, that it's not going to take time, that you just buy this program and it'll happen. But what people don't realize is it takes for anything from some sort of 3 to 5 years to start making a profit. And Mr. Outsource wasn't really making a profit until, I don't know, about 2 or 3 years in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I only started taking out money this year from the business, and that's me with like a big team of Filipinos within like graphic design, web design, 2 virtual assistants, yourself, and actual money from other businesses to fund things. So, and I'm an experienced entrepreneur. I'm not very experienced. I've got 8 years experience, right? But there's people out there with like 50 years experience doing stuff, right? So I think people have a little bit of a skewed vision of life. I mean, you can make things happen really, really fast, but typically you do need to give things time. And I also find like if you rush things, it not only destroys your relationships, but it also destroys you. So it would be better if people, first of all, sort of stayed focused and then stuck to their goals instead of jumping on a new program and trying lots of different things, because oftentimes you have to stick with things. And in terms of the information marketing programs that are out there, I mean, it's a very saturated market, because the people that are selling the courses make money on the courses, right? So they need to sell X amount of courses every year, or else they don't make money. And the courses that they sell need to be at a level to people that haven't really done a lot of business before. So you're getting in a lot of similar type of people that are doing a similar kind of thing. And so for me, information marketing is working, right? I've got the book, I've got people opting in, people are listening to this podcast. But I have a long-term perspective on my career as a person of influence. For me, the person of influence thing isn't like, oh, it's something I'm going to do for 6 months and then I can make money on it forever. It's like, for me, it was always a sort of a lifetime investment, where I viewed my brand as an entrepreneur to be something that I could leverage forever. So my perspective isn't, I need to make something happen to yesterday. For me, it's like, as long as we keep on putting down these stones, things will happen. So I just finished reading 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and one of the things I really took away from that, Regina, was that people that are unsuccessful, they think short term, and people that are really successful, they always think long term, which means they're not looking for instant gratification in everyday life. Like, they get up and they think about their long-term goals, and then they do whatever is important in relation to the long-term goal, and then they don't think about anything else, which means they're not really on Facebook. They're not really on distraction media. They don't really sit on their email all day, because they're only focusing on those like 3 or 4 objectives that will really matter in their life. So what other things, what other parallels do you see from the people that are sort of buying our course, jumping on board, and then they stop buying? What are some of the other things?
Yeah, so I think, well, one of the things is that they really think short term. They forgot that there's no shortcut. Like, they think if they buy this, they have a website, they have a product, that's it, they're gonna make money. And it's only until our second call do they realize that they don't need a virtual assistant yet. Because first of all, they don't have tasks to outsource to them. And second is, they don't think that they can sustain that virtual assistant. They can pay that virtual assistant. And then they decrease the hours of that virtual assistant to 2 to 4 hours. Of course, that virtual assistant will look for another client who can to supply the other 4 hours, so they have enough pay for the month. That way, it's kind of difficult for the virtual assistant to just go here and there. So one of the things is that they really don't have a specific money and time or tasks for the virtual assistant. Another problem that I see is that most of these entrepreneurs don't know how to manage their virtual assistants. Mm-hmm. So they don't know how to manage, and they don't have the time to manage. And this is why our project management service is also very in demand, because they were looking for that glue that sticks their team together.
So what is that project management service?
So the project management service is, there's a project manager who will work with your team, make your team accountable for every task, for every deadline, and also, of course, holds you accountable as well, that you need this, you need that, you have to be present in every team meeting. So that basically is the person between you and the middle between you and your team, so that the entrepreneur don't really have to delegate hours every day to manage the team, manage his or her people. So the project manager does that for him. So he will only have to speak with the project manager.
Right.
Saves him time and energy and gives him more focus.
So there's one thing I want to talk about in terms of like managing staff and people, is that this is something that I talk a lot about in my coaching, where there's repetitive tasks and then there's projects. So like launching a product or launching a website is a project, so it's got a start and an end, whilst routine tasks are something that go on every single day, every single month. So a lot of success is about consistency, right? So if you consistently train to be a good public speaker, if you consistently train at having a podcast and delivering lots of value through it, then those are the things that compound, and compound interest is something that I'm a very big fan of. So if I started saving $100 a week from I was born, I now would have something like $30 million in my bank account. No, $6 million in my bank account. Okay, so that's quite a considerable amount of money. But if you ask me, hey Erlend, can I borrow $6 million? I will say no, because I only started saving money consistently on a weekly basis about 5 years ago, right? So the power of compound interest is that it increases, the more often you do a habit and on a daily basis, the more it increases in your life. So for instance, if you want to be fit and healthy, it's like, do you have 20 minutes a day to do some kind of workout? If you do that, then you'll look great in like a year, but you won't look great the next day. So just going back to routines and projects. So one of the things that I have given to people is both projects and routines. But projects will often be like, hey, let's launch a podcast. When do you think you can have that ready? And then I would have the right team in place to collaborate to make it happen. And then, of course, I would have an influence on everything. But like all the technical things that have been set up for this podcast, I didn't figure out myself. That was you and James that worked on.
Yeah.
And
yes.
And then after we launched the podcast, there was now a habit. And the habit is every Thursday we publish a new episode. And then there's certain things that need to be done to every episode. So we have a to-do list for the podcast. So like we interview guests, we use a certain template. Then we follow up the guests before the podcast and say, your podcast is now going live. Can you please share it when it goes out? And then we have a copywriter that writes copy for it. And then, there are people that publish it to our to Libsyn, and it gets synced to all the different places. And this is now a habit, right? So now I know, a person needs X amount of hours every month to publish the podcast. So that's how I work. So I'll think like both in terms of like a project, we want to launch this new thing. And then there's like what are the habits afterwards? A few of the other habits are collating my credit card bill. So all the sort of credit card statements and bills go to one of my VAs. She puts it all together, and then it gets sent to me after in the beginning of the month, which then gets sent to my accountant, which then again saves me maybe 5 hours a month of my time. So I'm always thinking about, what is this? How does this look like in a system, right? So like the podcast thing, if it was sporadic, if I didn't think about the frequency, that's another thing. Frequency and habits. So you need to ask yourself, how often are we pushing out a podcast? Is it like every day, or is it like once a week, or is it twice a week? I found that like once a week is enough. I know a lot of podcasters do like every day, but I think once a week is good, and we focus on high quality guests and high quality content. So that's really important for people that are looking to outsource or to delegate in their business. It's like, okay, there's a project. That means probably you're going to be more hands-on because it needs more of your input to make it happen. And step one in a project is like get your team together and figure out if they are free to do your project, and then set like a deadline. And then you probably need to spend and focus on that during the launch period. But then in the aftermath, there's always going to be routine habits in your business. So that could be, sending a email. So one of the things that everyone can learn from the podcast is actually we're sending out emails every single day to potential podcast guests. And that's how we got people like David Allen, who's swamped in emails, to come on the podcast and share his insights about getting things done. It's because he was in a phase of wanting to promote. So therefore, he wanted to be on our podcast because he wanted to promote his new book. And the only reason why we got that interview was because we were emailing him at the right time. And so we're always emailing high-profile people to be on the podcast because, if they're in a phase of promotion, then they say, yes, let's do this, right? So, and that's a habit. So email 5 people for the podcast every single day. That's a task a virtual assistant can do for you on a daily basis. And then at the end of the day, you ask them, okay, can you send me a daily update and I want to know who you emailed. And then they also have to fill in an Excel spreadsheet with all the information so that you now have the contact details of influential people in your industry. So it's just the way I think. I think like this. And did I used to think like this? No. I learned to think like this because I realized, okay, what are virtual assistants in the Philippines able to do? Well, they can do research, they can go online, they can send a custom template email to people, and they can set up the thing in the calendar, and they can make sure, so you make a checklist. There's a really good book that I recommend for everyone called Checklist Manifesto. So with our podcast, we basically have a checklist of things that need to happen before and after an episode. And that works really well, I think. So, Regina, in terms of common Filipino excuses, what are the kind of things that we can, let's say you haven't outsourced before and you're trying it out and you're things are going well in the beginning, but then you're starting to get some excuses. What are some of the common excuses that you hear from people?
First is they don't have internet. That's, I think, the number one. And then second would be they're sick or they're not feeling well. And then the third would be there's the weather, or that of course there's no internet because of the weather. And I think their laptop is broken, or their laptop is not functioning well, or is really slow. So those are the common things that they usually
and I've heard all of these throughout my career in outsourcing to the Philippines. And typically, when you get those kind of comments, I typically look for somebody else, because it means the person's not really dedicated, and it can also be a reflection of yourself. So when somebody in my team makes a mistake, a lot of people quickly jump the gun and say oh, this person sucks or this person sucks. But I often I try to every time to ask myself, did I give good directions? Yeah, were my instructions good? Is there anything I could have done better? And then after some self-reflection, then I'll say, okay, why haven't you delivered this? And I'll ask them, is it because I didn't give clear instructions? I want to learn from this. But sometimes you just get crap people, and it's really important to just get rid of crap people as quickly as possible. And when you find somebody that you get along with, that you relate to, then do anything you can to treat them well, because then you have a loyal partner for a long time. So
I think one of the things that you do differently as well is you also ask for personal goals and personal life, and try not to become that employer and that client or that boss. You try to be curious of what we do, what are our goals in life, what are aspirations, what do we really want to do, or what do we do after work, or do we spend time sports or things like that. And you try to be in sync with us when it comes to that. Yeah, so that's very powerful in a virtual assistant and client relationship. So yeah. creating that rapport at the very beginning of the relationship is very powerful.
So being interested in more than just like, oh, have you posted my stuff on Facebook, but rather asking like, what are you enjoying in your job right now? Like, what do you think we could do better? And also like, how's your family? How's your dog? How's your is your kid okay? Is he enjoying school?
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't take long, and it's nice, it's nice to know. And the more somebody likes and trusts you, the more they're going to do for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's like this strategic side of it, right? Like you can say, oh, if my people love me, they'll do anything for me. Yeah, fair enough. But like a lot of these sort of strategies, I do it because it's nice to know, right? It's just nice to know how people are doing because you're part of the same ecosystem, right? Everyone is related to everyone in this world somehow or the other. Like this is like the butterfly effect, right? If you do something on this side of the earth, something else happens on the other side of the earth. And
Yeah.
and I've never really done it from sort of a strategic point of view. I've done it because I want people that I work with to be all right, and there's been times where people have gone through really difficult things. And I've given people time off. I've given people a
Bonus.
loan or something.
Christmas bonus.
Yeah, of course the Christmas bonus. But that's kind of illegal. A legal. Legally, you have to pay a double bonus for Christmas. But what I've also done is give bonuses to people when I'm happy with them, right? So like, oh, you deserve a bonus, right? So that's also if you want to be a leader, you got to be somebody that people want to work with, right? I was watching Game of Thrones the other day, and one of the little dwarf called Tyrion, he had a really good quote, which was, "You can always trust someone's self-interest." And somebody's self-interest is for them to be happy, right? So if you're a miserable, depressed person yelling at your staff, then who wants to be around you, right? But if you're cheerful, if you're always positive, if you're considerate, then that's a person that people want to be around, which means you'll attract great staff, which means your business will do better, and your life will be better.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So it's so true. We have a lot of virtual assistants. It's been with their clients that we've matched them with for, I don't know, 2 years, going their third year now. And it's always a pleasure. It's always very touching when they tell me that, hey, Regina, it's my third anniversary with Matthew or with Timothy. Thank you so much for matching us together. We've been working very well. And sure, they do get offers that have higher pay and higher bonuses and things like that, but because they have that relationship and they have invested so much in the client's business, so they don't want to leave or they don't want to work somewhere else because they have that very working win-win relationship with each other.
So talking about us, what are some of the things that you've been able to do through our relationship?
Oh, a lot of things. I mean, besides running two businesses, having to, I have the time to help more people, train more people, because really, I really wanted to provide more jobs to Filipinos, train them, do that personality development with my friends or with the Filipinos, and with that, I was able to do that. You've been very, very supportive. You tell me different resources that can help me. You send me stuff that's very helpful and can help me grow. And with that, I have also influenced other people from this side of the world. So I've been able to train them. Besides that, I've been doing volunteer work for organizations. We've been helping less fortunate. We've been very exposed to this side of that community as well. So I think with where we are now, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I think that's the most important. Like, I can have a job anywhere else, but I would probably felt that satisfaction or the gratification that I feel now. So so that's something that's very important for me.
Yeah, so basically, you moved from Manila to Davao. You set up, dream work. You created a community. You've
Yeah,
trained thousands of VAs, and now you're invited to speak lots of different places,
yeah,
on outsourcing. You're now like a personality, like a person of influence in Davao City, and of course I've been part of that, but all that was possible because you said yes. Let's just do this. Oh, I'm scared of public speaking, but I'm just going to do it. So you do have the sort of right personality for entrepreneurship, and I think also in terms of your upbringing, where because you lost your parents, right?
yeah.
So at what age did you lose your parents?
My dad, 13 years old, and I've never been with my mom. So it's always that independent upbringing. So I'm always used to doing this myself, but but I think on an entrepreneurial side, where if you don't do this, employees are gonna don't will not have jobs. Your team will not have the next salary. So there's that type of you have to do this kind of thing, which is also that makes me motivated and driven.
But I also
Yeah,
think,
in this.
Regina, that there's people that you either get results or you have excuses. There's reasons or results. That's something that I typically think about. And you're the type of person that you could have spent your life saying, oh, it's okay for you because you had parents, and it's okay for you because your parents paid for you to go to this school, but you're not that type of person. You're one of these people that says, okay, what can I do? And that's something that I think, like, because what you've done is very impressive. It's very difficult to start a business. It's difficult to um, sort of follow through, and yeah, people might be saying, oh yeah, but you had Erlend and you were lucky. But why were you lucky? I mean, why did I bother? Why did I spend time and money on making this happen? Well, because I know you're that personality type where you'll figure out how to make something happen, and you'll make the most out of a situation. And I think that's something that we all sort of can learn from, and we can all aspire to do, is just to make the most of what we have, and say, okay, how can I do the most with this, and then just do it, and then that's when you get results. And because you could have had you could have had a really good excuse in life not to do anything. I lost my
Yeah.
parents at a young age, and I didn't get anything sort of much help, so I'm just gonna sit on the street and beg, but you didn't do that.
Yeah, that's correct.
So so where do you see the sort of future going in outsourcing? I mean, you already talked about the let's go back to sort of unfortunate backgrounds and things like that. When you're doing the workshops at Mr. Outsource, do you feel, what kind of people are you helping? What kind of people are you? What kind of transformations are you seeing?
Yeah, so these are basically the people who are not happy with their job or their pay. So it's either they got stuck or they settle for this job because it's available then. So they kind of they're looking for, whenever I ask them to introduce themselves, they always say that they don't like their job anymore. So it's like very tiring, or they're not rewarded enough. And part of this is wanting to earn more. So one of the reasons they wanted to go to our seminars is because they can earn more and learn more. So it's not a very boring 9 to 5 job. It's more of a very healthy working environment where you can learn from your clients and you get paid as well, and you get to work anywhere you want from home as long as there's internet. And I think but unfortunately, most of them don't follow through. Most of them are still scared to jump and quit their job and just do the virtual assistant kind of thing. So I think with all the people, I think only 40 to 60% follow through.
Yeah. Do you? It's also a symptom, though. Like, I guess people go to like a seminar to learn something because they maybe they're not happy with their circumstances, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
They try to look for better opportunities, and they first of all they think that it's a scam because it's like online thing. We still have this mentality in the Philippines that anything online is a scam. So anything like, so they really ask questions like, how much money are we going to pay out? How much money are we going to give to you guys? And we don't ask money at all. We just want them to have the best skills that they can have, and that's it. So we try to put their expectations where we try to correct their expectations. We try to give them the correct information, basically.
Yeah. So how do you get the good hires? How do you attract like the really, really awesome people to Mr. Outsource? How do we select the best people?
Yeah, so from there, we try to attract those people by doing seminars and meetups and trainings at our office, at our co-working space. And then we attract these people and we communicate with them. We try to, of course, we've tried the old school way of recruiting, screening, background checking. But then one of the most effective things that we do is we try to create these events at the office, at the co-working space, and then we attract the right people to those events. And then we introduce each other, we talk to them like what they do in life and what they're working on, who are their clients. And then opportunity arise. They ask if we have anything we can offer them. What are some of the things that we can work together? Do you have a client where we can share skill set and services? So with that, we attract the right people that way, and they also have the perfect mindset already, their experience and things like that. And then we, of course, get the formalities, like get their resumes, get their email addresses, get their police clearance and everything, securities. But with that, attracting people, that's been very effective for us, and they've been a pleasure to work with because there's someone that you can work with together. So we're attracting the people that we can play ball with, that we can brainstorm together, and that's been very helpful also for me and the rest of the team at Mr. Outsource, because having these people join our team is very refreshing.
So, how much does it cost to have like a full-time good person at the moment? Can you give us sort of the cost of people?
Yeah, a really, really good person, a virtual assistant, a freelance virtual assistant would be around $5 to $7, $8 an hour.
Right. And how much is that a month?
That would be 500, 700.
Yeah.
700, 800.
Okay. And what kind of range of people can you get? What are people using virtual assistants most for?
Most of our Mr. Outsource, they're into coaches and social media, so they really need help with keeping their social media right. Make sure their routine. Most of our clients are also into webinars. They're also into coaching and consulting, so they need help with a virtual assistant who makes sure that everything, the checklist has been checked, so everything has been invited, the webinar has been set up, it's all automated, but most likely it's social media, email, managing their email, and calendar. And the rest is just repetitive work, like research and data entry stuff.
And we have lots of people trained to help people with that.
Yes, absolutely. So from social media to project managers to web design. So I think one of the most the turning point of Mr. Outsource team is allowing us to focus on a certain skill. So I can do graphic design, I can do WordPress, I can do content writing, I can do social media. But then you tell me, Regina, no, your strengths are this one. The strengths of our graphic designers are graphics. Don't let them do WordPress or don't let them do anything else. Like just do what they're really good at and be good at it. And that way we have the dream team because there's one who specializes on the web design. There's one who specializes in graphics design. And we have virtual assistants who specialize in research, and they just do they just do what they do at a specific.
So what is the dream team?
So the dream team comprises of web design, graphic design. We also have the virtual assistants. We also have the project managers.
Is that your dog, Regina?
Yes, yes.
That's good.
Sorry about that. So from graphic design, web design, SEO, podcast, if you have a podcast, one person just dedicated on the podcast, making sure that's happening, making sure the audio and video is up. So we also have a dream team where they focus on research and emailing out, sending out emails to people. We can also have a sales person part of the dream team. So a dream team basically is a customized dream team. So Erlend has a different dream team. Our other clients have a separate dream team because they have a separate needs in their business. So we try to make sure that that's been covered.
Yes. So basically what we found was that people are really good at certain things, and why not just have, you pay out per hour, and then you can get all these services with all these different people, and you also get it managed by a central person. So you only speak to your project manager, and the project manager will then delegate the tasks to the appropriate person. So that's the whole idea behind the dream team. So we're increasingly seeing a move towards doing more sort of business processing, outsourcing work. So that basically what that means is we're working more and more with larger clients that need a specific thing done every single day, and we're basically Mr. Outsource is moving more and more in that direction. So if you're a small business or medium business that needs maybe a staff of anything from 10 to 20 people, we're looking to help you in your business and make it more efficient. We have a great office, we have great staff, we've got fast internet, and any sort of business process outsourcing work that you think we can help you out with, we are interested in helping you with. We'll still cater to the entrepreneurs, we'll still recruit for you, we still have all those things in place. However, the future of Mr. Outsource is moving more towards a sort of traditional business processing outsourcing company. So if you're listening to this podcast and you are interested in outsourcing maybe 10 to 20 people, then let us know. You can always email Regina at mroutsource.com. Yes. So what's going on in DreamWork right now, and where is that moving forwards to?
Yeah, with more and more people employing teams in the Philippines or in Davao City, more and more of them are looking for a space to work together as a team. So we've seen an increase of inquiries, an increase of who wants to work at the co-working space because there's more collaboration going on. So with that, we were able to provide them a space for that, a meeting room where they can meet together and they can use a projector and meeting amenities that they can use. They can talk to their clients through there. We're open in the evenings as well for Eastern time zone, for US time zone clients who wants to work with their virtual assistants. So we also open our space for that. Also with DreamWork, more and more people are hiring again, hiring bigger teams, so they need bigger place to work in. So that's what we're actually focused on DreamWork right now, providing those spaces for those teams.
Cool. And where do you see yourself in about 5 years?
Yes, running a more larger team, definitely. We're thinking of, like you said, we're thinking of going to the BPO industry, and that's where I think that's where we're going. And we've already decided that, and I've decided that. So that's where we'll go. We'll be managing people. We'll be serving bigger clients. We'll be serving corporate clients, B2B clients. So that's where I see myself. Of course, with DreamWork co-working spaces, the co-working space will be attracting more and more virtual assistants in this space and freelancers. So we are still very in touch with that community as well. So, we are still going to make that happen for them.
Fantastic. So lots of lessons here from Regina Evangelista, my business partner in Mr Outsource. She's had a great story, sort of coming from difficult beginnings and just being that kind of person that just follows through and asks herself, what can I do, and makes the most out of opportunities, and also has the guts to just do what needs to get done. And she's an amazing person. I hope you get in touch with her on regina@mroutsource.com for any outsourcing requests you might have. And if you have any questions about Filipino culture or laws or anything like that, she's really experienced in that area. So feel free to contact her. And this has been a great episode. I wanted to, I thought about what should this next podcast episode be about, and I thought, we have an expert on outsourcing. Why not jump on a call with her and figure out what we can learn from her.
This podcast is brought to you by MrOutsource.com. Outsourcing to the Philippines done for you. Mr Outsource is a recruitment company matching busy entrepreneurs with Filipino virtual assistants, so you can have the time to focus on what's important.